Hey guys, it's going to be a different episode of the podcast today, and we're very excited about it. Sorry for the absence the past couple weeks, but with Christmas, with the holidays, with me going to Disney World a week before Christmas, it's been very hectic and very busy, and we just didn't really have the time to do it. But we are back, and between the holiday season, we've also been busy on something very exciting that Ashton, I'm going to go ahead and tell everyone as Ashton has officially declared and is running for the 88th District of Virginia's House of Delegates. He is officially gonna be a politician running for an office. We're very excited about it. Ashton, say a few words before we get into our main thing for this video. That is going to be a pre-recorded interview with Ashton and myself. I'm the campaign manager for Ashton here. So we're going to do that. But before we get into that for this video, Ashton, say a few words and we'll kick it over to the interview.
Well, I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and is safe, social distancing, wearing masking, doing all that fun stuff. Yeah, Andy, I'm happy to get this train off and going. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a while. I love, um, I just loved serving in the military, and I just thought for everything all the great opportunity I've gotten for just being here in this district, I wanted to give back to the people of this district, and I wanted to give them a different opportunity and chance. So I hope everyone enjoys this one take interview. Andy did. I did. We did not pre-rehearse this or redo it at all. I like to be honest, you get all the positive of me and negative of me, but I'm going to be myself. I'm going to do this the way I want to do it. And, win or lose, I'm going to be happy that I just gave people a different type of choice.
All right, guys, before we kick this interview off, go follow Ashton's campaign at Spencer for Delegate, Spencer for Dell on Twitter. We'll also send the link in the description to his website. Go check both those out, follow us, and just talk to us and spread the word as we're trying to get Ashton to get in the 88th District of Virginia. So sit back, relax, and let's kick off this interview.
Hello, everybody. I am Andy Sandlin, the campaign manager for your candidate for delegate in the 88th District of the House of Delegates in Virginia, Ashton B. Spencer. Say hello, Ashton.
Hey, guys.
Now, we are here to conduct a little interview, just talking back and forth so he can kind of introduce himself to all of you guys and then briefly talk about his policies. The more you can find also on his website. We'll leave a link to that. But, Ashton, I mean you can both agree that these questions were not pre-asked, pre-written, or pre-documented, so it's all going to be off the cuff. Is this correct?
It will be. I hope everyone enjoys. Try to give you a little bit authentic me. I won't have all the answers, but, I'll try to have some really, really good ones and thoughtful ones.
All right, kicking this thing off, Ashton, is a very, very simple question. Who are you? And just give us kind of a rundown of who you are, what you like, just some of the simple things that distinguishes you from someone else.
Well, I am originally from Camarillo, California, born there, born military brat, so I moved all over. I settled down in South Carolina, where I ended up meeting your sister and my very beautiful wife, Nicole, and got married, went to college. I was blessed enough by God to be able to join the Air National Guard, and um, I moved down to Virginia after getting a job opportunity last December of 2019. So I'm someone with new perspective, different perspective than people uh, who have been in the House of Delegates for a long time. So I'm definitely not your typical person running for office. I'm middle class. It's just me and my wife in a one-bedroom apartment. We both have decent cars. I have a Subaru. She has a Kia. No Mercedes or anything fancy like that. And me in general, what do I like to do besides hanging out with my very awesome wife? I love to watch football. I'm a big Rams fan. There's a game tonight. We're filming this on Monday. I think we're putting this out on Tuesday. Uh, Big Rams fan. I love the code. I don't try to do it as much out of the office just by the fact that like you get burnt out of you get burnt out if you do something in work afterwards. You don't want to do it as much outside. So, but I do enjoy doing it. I love my job. I'm blessed to have it. And in general, anything me and you like to talk about movies like TV shows. Mandalorian. If you're a Mandalorian fan, I'm loving that now. Uh, I love animals too, but me and my wife don't have an animal yet. I say that because you have your adorable cat in the background.
Yeah, right back there. Ashton, you touched on this. You recently moved to Virginia. What makes you already want to serve the state, to serve your community? You being from Fredericksburg, what makes you just want to jump right in and make the public and life a better place for everybody?
Yeah, so it's one of those things where there's a reason why the founders of Virginia said it to you have to live in the district for a year, because that's about the amount of time that you can get a perspective on what's going on in the area. And I want to give back because I've gotten such an opportunity being able to move here from a different state. And I want to give back to the community that gave me that opportunity and give back in the best way I know possible, and that's serving. I was in a military family, so I saw service up close and personal. My father did 3 tours in once in one in Iraq and twice in Afghanistan. So I understand service from a family perspective. I went in myself because I wanted to follow that. I come from a military family. I wanted to continue that tradition, and I love it. And it's just something I always something inside of me wanted me to do it. I want to put myself out there, even though I got a C in public speaking in college. So um, in general, I want to help people, and I think I have a unique set or skill set for the House of Delegates. Not a lot of people that go into politics have a technical background. I think I can add a unique perspective to laws and bills being passed through the chamber that honestly, our country and our state, uh, our state being Virginia, really really needs. We need more people with technical background. No offense to all the lawyers, we need lawyers as politicians. I get that, but I think a lot of people will agree with me who aren't lawyers. Sometimes people feel like bills and laws aren't passed from a human perspective, but from a solely legal one. And I feel like we need more people who are middle class and more people with different backgrounds because representatives are supposed to represent us, not just represent lawyers. So that's a one answer to your question.
Ashton, you lived in 3 different states, but more importantly, 3 different regions of the country. You got the West Coast over there in California, Southeast with South Carolina, and now up in the Mid Atlantic region with Virginia. How did the 3 different region and your experience just growing up through life prepare you for tackling this new challenge?
Um, it really made me appreciate different areas, different cultures, people who don't agree with each other. And you haven't touched on it yet, but I am a pro life conservative running as a Democrat, and that's a very, very, some people think that's a interesting thing. And I am uniquely myself, and I'm going to be honest about that, whether or not that gets me more or less votes. And my life has prepared me because I honestly respect people on both sides of the aisle. I'm on, I used to think that like just Republicans were right until I started traveling around and started getting like most of the time opinions. You can have two different opinions that are valid opinions on two opposite sides of the spectrum. As long as we have the same goal of helping out other people, that's what is important, is having that goal to help out each other, and then everything else will fall in place afterwards. That's when you can have civil debate, and that's when you can, eventually put it to a vote, and who wins, they end up winning, and then you move on and try to convince next time and try to just continuing to make your local area better.
So, Ashton, as you pointed out, you are a conservative running for as a Democrat. It's very unique, something that we're trying out here that we really want to see. We hope you guys and like Ashton, obviously, but listen to what he has to say. Take that to heart because he really does care, and we want to change Virginia for the better. And one of the ways we're going to do that is we're going to start talking about just some of what you believe policy wise. We're not going to get too in depth there. You can go, like I said, go to our website. You can see everything there. But let's go ahead and kick it off. Your environmental policy. What are just some of the key points, some of the big themes, and how is climate change going to be
Mm-hmm.
addressed, if any?
Yeah, so let's go here broader. I think this is something that most younger conservatives will agree with me, and almost every liberal will agree with me that climate change is real. Me, you, we've grown up. Like, I went to school in Charleston, a coastal city. I know the effects of climate change because they used to have like major storm threats like once every 5, 6, 7, 8 years. When I started going to college there, we had a major storm threat every year I went to college. And I only started in like 2015. Um, and I graduated in 2019. So it's like, it's insane for people to try to deny reality. Like, we can see the results. Um, and so my goal is to, if I'm elected to the House of Delegates, is to constantly push our state government to do things that can reduce our carbon footprint in meaningful ways, but that are also respectful to small businesses and businesses along or all across the Commonwealth. That's very important. You can't just ham fist approach everything. We're only one state, just like we're only one country. We can only do as much as we can when it comes to climate change. But we do have to do our part, and we have to start pushing it forward more and more every year. And not to mention alternative energies, that is a ripe economy or like growth potential for the state of Virginia. Like, hey, electric cars, when they start booming, the places with those manufacturing plants will be the places where their economy is booming. The question is, do we want to be one of those economies, or do we want to be one that's trying to catch up with alternative energies? So that's definitely something I would put an emphasis on as a delegate.
Ashton, you being in Virginia firsthand, you know how COVID has affected your state with lockdowns, restrictions, so forth and so on. But the biggest effect is the financial aspect. Tons of families around the state are hurting from COVID-19. How will you address fixing this problem? Not only COVID, but the financial issues, and kind of bridge into your kind of tax position when it comes to classes and people in general.
Yeah, so generally I'm a big person who believes in balanced budgets. I just think it makes sense that uh, a state or a country should be like a average day middle class family. You can't spend more than what you take in. You can put a little bit on the credit card, but you can't go over. The same thing should be, it should be the exact same way with the state, but our state government, our federal government does not treat it like that. And this is a issue that a lot of people have on both sides, is spending. I'm not trying to both side Isram it. I'm not trying to do that, but what I am trying to say is something that we all need to get better at, especially in government and in general when it comes to COVID. I think it's been so far a societal failure among certain people to take this seriously. Because I honestly think we wouldn't be in the situation we are if it wasn't for so many people just not caring about it. Now, does that mean we wouldn't be having some people die? Of course. Does it mean we wouldn't be having a spike right now? Yeah, but there's a difference between starting down here and then starting up here with a spike. Huge difference. That's a lot of people that didn't have to die that will end up dying because what? A few people didn't want to wear a mask? A few people didn't want to social distance. That's how you don't get lockdowns. That's how you don't hurt your economy, by doing that. And you only need to lock down whenever you have outbreaks in certain areas. But instead, a lot of people want to be selfish, Andy. And it honestly drives me nuts. But ultimately, you can only control what you can control, and hope of eventually people start wising up and see the fact that 200 and what 50,000 people have died from this. That's serious. That's almost on pace to have a 9/11 every day. The only way we beat this is as a community locally, as a state, and as a country. And you can't just have 60% of the country or state or community want to do it by themselves, because how viruses work, they only need 30 to, like, I believe 50% of the population to be like hop around, and then it'll spread like wildfire. And you can't just wait on a vaccine, because that's going to be a few months off, and you're going to still have people dying in the meantime. So I hope people get better on that. If I'm a delegate, I'll definitely push for stuff like that. I hope it doesn't come to mandates and stuff, but ultimately, if people are dying and we need to control the spread, I feel like it's within the state's power to ask you to do a few certain things. Just like you can't walk around in the middle of a park not wearing clothes. You can't just do whatever you want. This is not that type of society. It never has been. Now, that doesn't mean you get your individual freedoms ripped away, but that also means you can't be reckless. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Just because you have rights doesn't mean you get them peed on other people's health and safety. So there's a fine line there, and it's okay to debate what is or isn't, but ultimately we have to take action. And I feel like the more bodies that pile up, sadly, the more we have to take more drastic action. And it's getting to that point where we're gonna have to take it even more seriously. And to talk about my tax plan is, like I said, initially during not crazy times, I would be more about cutting spending, and I believe not just cutting taxes for people making less than $400,000 a year. I think we should raise taxes on people who make above $400,000 a year. But in general, in Virginia, you don't know this, Andy, but anyone who makes above $12,000 pays the same taxes, same tax rate. So anyone, if you make $50,000 in Fredericksburg and you also make $20 million in Fredericksburg, you pay the same local tax rate or state tax rate. That is ridiculous. And the state is in a deficit and has been for the last like 15 or so years. That is not acceptable. Not acceptable at all. I also think the state tax rate for corporations should go up because it's one of the lowest in the country. That's like, I think Virginia can be competitive, but yet fair. And, eventually our state, it would be nice this year, Andy, if the state of Virginia had a rainy day fund to, I don't know, buy PPE, to fund more testing sites. I think that's been a failure for a long time of the state government, and I would look to try to fix that. I can't do everything on my own, but I'll definitely fight for it.
All right, Ashton, before we get to the last question, I do have to point out if you notice kind of a choppiness between the last question and this question. Technical difficulties due to Skype being a pain, being me being in South Carolina, him being in Virginia. It's pretty far. Wi-Fi strength between the both are not the greatest. Sorry about that, but that's just life during COVID. So we're gonna go right through. We're gonna keep chugging along. Ashton, the last question we have is: you brought up your tech plans for being a delegate. You wanted to be kind of a new candidate, bring new experiences, your technology side. What do you expect to do? What do you want to bring? And why is tech such an important part about you?
hmm Well, tech isn't just what I do full time. I software developer, layman's term. I code for a living. Um, but it really is what gave me a bigger, brighter future getting out of the family circumstance I grew up in. I grew up in a lower income family. And really, that's something that I feel like a technological future, or our economy is going to be technological based. And I feel like more and more we have failed as a state, as a county, and as a nation. And it's not just we failed to prepare for the pandemic when it comes to like distance learning. That's a part of it. But we really ended up failing to prepare for the future of learning. I mean, like I brought up alternative energy, technology is what the economy is going to be based off of in the future. And Virginia can either be a leader of that or it can be trying to catch up. And we need to start embracing it more with our children. That doesn't mean everyone's going to be a coder. That's not what I'm saying. You're going to still have a lot of hard, very good working jobs like welder, like plumber. You're going to still have all that. But we have to prepare more and more for the technology that's going to start encroaching in those jobs, as well as more technical jobs like software developer and stuff like that. So it's not just about preparing our children for, you can say, STEM jobs, but the jobs that right now may not include as much technology that will. Because as we've seen anything this year, you know, one way to fight the virus is by distance learning or doing stuff by distance when you don't have to. And, I feel like the growing pains would have been a lot less had we been more prepared. And that is something, if I'm elected as delegate, I'll focus on preparing Virginia. I know coming from South Carolina, another issue is cybersecurity, and the state only paid cybersecurity officials like $45,000, 40 a year, when the market average was like 60,000. And guess what? They ended up having one of the biggest hacks in state history, and that costed the state millions of dollars. So we could have saved money. The taxpayers could have saved money if people knew where to look at to focus money. And that a thing about representation is you need to represent a wide swath of the people. And we don't have that now when we have mostly lawyers and some business individuals in there. We have to have average, everyday citizens. That's a part of why I'm running.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, for watching, for listening, for just being with us as we did a little interview to introduce you to Ashton, your candidate for the 88th District in the House of Delegates for Virginia. He's excited. We're excited to work for you. And Ashton, I'll let you take this home.
I really hope everyone's safe, and God bless these United States.